I want to ride my bicycle, I want to ride my bike, I want to ride my bicycle until I break that bike. Hey, Sammon Skins, and welcome to episode 22, Do's and Do, for the Pigeon French speakers out there. The pigeons of Paris and other places in France that speak French. What is that noise? Hey guys, sorry about that. I am recording in the centre of Dublin on a street where people can't really control the volume of their voices. We've a horrific neighbour who's screaming all the time, and then screaming this morning, at about 20 to 12, so technically still within the morning, before noon. So she probably hadn't had a drink yet, but she was screaming about people waking her up, screaming on the street. And that's just like the pot calling a large cauldron with which you boil water in a different colour. There's the woke version of that saying. So guys, it's 22. How do you do? Is everyone safe from the flu? There's my Italian-American gangster rapper. Hey, how you doing? My name is Paulie. I like to say hello to you, Ollie. I am here cooking pepperoni. Oh my God, it's a maroni. That's a Peroni. That's what you drink. When I want to wash my dishes, I do it in the sink. Hey, my name is Paulie P, and I'm here to say I'm a legitimate businessman in the USA. I like to go to restaurants and eat lots of food. I tell you to forget about it. But when I'm in a bad mood, I get really angry and I say, what the fuck is this? And then I put your head in a vice and hit you with my face. That kind of style. Italian-American gangster rappers. So there's someone on the street saying you're an idiot to someone, which, I suppose it's a service that they're providing for their friend. Because, you want to know you're an idiot, because how else would you know? Idiots can't figure it out for themselves. They need other people to inform them of their idiocy. So guys, what's been happening? I took a very dangerous trip outside the kilometre zone. Well, I had to go back to my old house to get some stuff, some essentials, just basically more comfortable clothes. Check out on my plants that live in my other house that I'm moving out of during a pandemic, because I'm moving in, or have moved in. I mean, I'm here now. I've been living here for the last, 2 years, however long this lockdown has been going. So I walked with a bike, Cara's bike, which she said she wasn't really using because she had a different mode of transportation. I was like, well, what's the other mode of transportation? I'm to be flying around. And I was on the bike, or have you got rollerblades? No, I wouldn't, but rollerblades. Wheels on my feet? That's unnatural. So, she's getting around somehow. She's brooming around the place, she said. I think it's like a Liberty's Dublin expression. I'm not too familiar with it. So I took her bike, which she doesn't really use that often, and she's not going to be using it in the near future, at least for another couple of weeks, because I broke the bike. So how did I break the bike? I don't know. Freak accident. I want to blame the person that was ringing me on my phone. So I pulled over safely to answer the phone call. And while doing that, somehow, I don't know how, my fingers touched the gear flaps. And I'm not that familiar with gear flaps. Gears to me were, you had like 5 gears on a bike. A 5-gear mountain bike. That was when I was a teenager, when I was a young boy. That was the shit. That was the best you could get. That was like 12 blades on a razor. Like we'd never seen, because normally it's just one gear one low gear and you pedal 4,000 revolutions per minute to get anywhere on an old BMX or an old chopper bike. And when I talk about my youth, I sort of really start to slip into the Offaly. The old chopper bike, which was like the old chopper motorbikes, were popularised by the film Easy Rider. I remember watching that and thinking, I could love that now, but for a child with no engine, but just as dangerous. You want to be sitting about 4 feet back in the saddle with your arms reached out to maximum stretch to get the handlebars. That's the safest way to ride a bike. You'll react quicker 4 feet back with your arms stretched out, hanging onto the... You'll be like a piece of pastry stretched out between fingers, and you can see through it, and you know it's going to be good, and we're having pizza tonight, boys. So I was on... sorry, I just got possessed by my Offaly alter ego, Edwan Sammon. So hopefully he won't return. Culchie's out! And I feel him go. He's gone. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, back in the day when we had... Like, I didn't have a chopper bike. Julian did, my older brother. I just had a regular bike, you know. But then we got the mountain bikes with the 5 gears. So we didn't know what to do. And then we'd have, like... I think you'd pull down and pull up, laying flat in line with the handlebar, with the brake in front of the handlebar, the end of the handlebar. You know, just normal, and you'd press it into the gear, and it would begin a series of machinations, and things would turn, and you'd move up a gear. You know, if you're going uphill, you need a bit more traction, and you'd be trundling up a mountain in 5th gear. And then you had these 20-speed bikes. I was like, that's just too many speeds. You don't need that many speeds. It's like, you know, go to a restaurant and they've got like, eggs 3 ways. You'd be like, yeah, that sounds fair enough. There's definitely 3 ways I can think of off the top of my head. Scrambled, boiled, fried. You know, there are 3 ways I like eggs. But if you went into a restaurant and they said, eggs 20 ways. You'd be like, what? How? Huh? Is one of them raw? Is one of them just an unfertilized chick inside? Because God, went on a deep dive, sidebar, went on a deep dive of looking at recipes and looking at Gordon Ramsey. And, you know, I like to look at him shouting at people, but I was just looking at his recipes, and it wasn't a recipe, but he was on a travel show. He was in some foreign country somewhere. I can't remember where, because we were watching these about 2:00 in the morning, and he got a duck egg from this kind of street vendor, and this guy who was like showing him around was like, here's the most delicious duck egg you'll ever have. And they crack open the duck egg, and inside is like a curled up like duck fetus. And he didn't, like, the guy with him was like, yes, it's good for the you know what I'm saying, the man root. If a man was like a carrot, you see what I say. I don't know where he was from. He wasn't vaguely French, which is my sort of go-to accent for everywhere. I'm not being xenophobic, just ignorant. You have to eat the whole of the duck fetus, and that makes you tingle in your carrot, if you know what I'm saying, Mr. Bunny Rabbit. You know, he's being very suggestive. And he like just munching on a duck fetus, a tiny little duck fetus, and you could barely make it out. But it was disgusting. And I saw duck eggs in the Asian market, but I said, nah, we'll leave it be. Because I was afraid I'd crack one open and it'd be like, oh no, a duck fetus. And then I'd have to eat it just to see if it would make my carrot all nice and crunchy, if you know what I mean, with a little bit of lettuce on the side, if you get my analogy. Is it what you say, analogy or a metaphor? What is it, a metaphor? I do not know what it is, a metaphor. It is for what? A meta? So yeah, back to the bike. I had to wheel the bike to a garage, or a garage, and or a petrol station, because they have those pumps. So I went, wheeled it up to, I was like, oh, okay, the nearest one is just, kind of 5 minutes walk down the road. And you could I was kind of half freewheeling, even though the front tire really needed a pump. I had a kind of a slow puncture, so I could pump it up, cycle to where I was going, pump it up there, because I think there was a pump in the shed, in the gaff. Wasn't 100% sure, but I could probably it's mostly downhill on the way back, so I could probably freewheel it to a garage and pump it up again. So, I had my plan. So I went, it's like, there's the pump, walked to it, out in the open air. Lovely bright day, €1 for 5 minutes. What a bargain, I said. 5 minutes of compressed air for €1. I'd be crazy not to take that deal. So I popped my euro in the thing, and the timer went on, the clock went on, and then I realised it didn't fit the goddamn wheel. It didn't fit the valve for the wheel, so I just had bought 5 minutes of air for no reason and couldn't use it to pump up the tires. So I just, kept blasting air on the ground and blasting it in my face and, blasting on my hands to see if it really makes you get warts, as my mum used to say, and probably still does say. If you're blasting air while rubbing a toad on your face, that's a surefire way to get warts, guys. And you don't want to do that. So I was like, oh, fuck. And by this stage, I couldn't really cycle the bike at all. So I had to wheel it. I said, oh, okay, where's the nearest garage? I was on the kind of quays in the city centre. There's no more garages here. They're kind of, God. So I walked kind of aimlessly, but sort of in the direction of where I was going, until eventually, and I was getting kind of frustrated because I didn't bring my headphones, because I wanted to be a responsible cyclist. I like to walk everywhere, and I listen to podcasts, or I listen to music, or I listen to Best of Screaming Volume 1. Those are the things that I listen to relax me and to, keep me either walking briskly or running terrified. Either way, I get exercise. So I'm walking, kind of getting annoyed at this whole thing. I was like, this is a mistake. I never should have done this. Next thing I see, a bike shop with a pump outside that's chained up but usable and has a little sign on it saying, enjoy yourself. And I was like, what do they think I'm going to be doing with this pump? So I relieved myself sexually with the pump. And look, I can't tell you how I did it. I'll have to do that. That'll have to be a separate episode. That'll be a patron-only exclusive. What Ed did with the pump. Ed Sammon in pump romp shame. There's the headline. If it ever got out, I'd be cancelled. But so I was like, yay, pumped up the tires. Here we go. And I'm cycling. I'm literally probably 3 minutes cycling time from my destination. My phone starts ringing in my pocket, so I'm moving over to the side, hit the flaps, chain gets tangled up, chain hits the spokes, snaps the gear. I don't even know the name for it, where it kind of, the chain feeds into the very back of the bike, where it kind of changes gears and feeds it in. So that's snapped off. So it's a simple weld job. Like I say simple, but I couldn't do it. So maybe it's more complicated than that. But it's an easy job for someone who knows how to do it, as every job is. If you know how to do it, it's an easy job. Every question is easy if you know the answer to it. All of these homespun philosophies and more after these short messages. It's the Salmon of Knowledge, it's the Salmon of Knowledge, it's a commercial break, and tonight or today or whenever the time is that you're listening to this podcast. And we're back, guys. So the moral of the story with my whole bike misadventure is I should just walk everywhere. I'm used to walking. If I'd walked, I would have been happy out listening to, my podcasts or my music or my Sounds of Screaming Volume 1. And everything would have been hunky-dory and okay. How are you today? So anyway, look, moving on. Exciting stuff here. I'm very excited about this. I have been trying to get some sort of high-profile names on the podcast. The highest profile name I got was Barry Gibb from the Bee Gees. A few people definitely enjoyed my interview with Gordon, the King Charles Cavalier Spaniel. And then I did the last couple episodes on ghosts and Most Haunted. And I got a Gerry email that kind of shook me to my core a little bit. Well, not shook me to my core. It made me kind of stop, reassess, look around. You know, as Ferris Bueller says, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around, you mightn't, be able to steal your dad's expensive car, drive to the city, and sing in the Macy's Day Parade. I don't think it was the Macy's Day Parade. It was just a random parade that was happening in Chicago. Chicago? See, I say it properly, not Chicago. Fucking hour in there, and maybe I'll go. But if it's just Chicago, I don't want to know. As the old saying goes. So Dad sent me an email about episode 20, ghost busting. Hi, Ed. Now, I won't read all of this. I'm not going to read it verbatim because I promised I wouldn't. So relax, Gerry, who's listening. I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'm just going to comment maybe on what you've written and kind of what I was thinking it was going to be as I was reading it. I was like, oh, okay. I was sort of interpreting it in the most positive possible way I could. So here we go. Hi, Ed. Just listen to number 20. Okay. Cool. He's still listening to the podcast. That's good. Felt a little bit like being back in school. Yeah, all right, cool. Being young again, being vibrant, being excited about things, learning about things, thinking about things like ghosts, because that's what the whole episode was. It also reminded me of one of our guides in Rome. Okay, yeah, cool. A cool guide in Rome, Italian, sexy. Ciao. Hey, let me tell you all about the things that happened. Oh, the beautiful pasta that was an event that I hear in Rome. I was like, yeah, cool. Yeah, I want to be like some cool tour guide in Rome. She was giving us all sorts of facts and dates. After a while, you are inclined to switch off. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I've been there. I've been on tours. I was in Crete years ago on a tour. On the bus to the island, this lady was telling us about the name of the island and how it got its name. And it was Lenore or something was this girl's name. She was in love with the man from the other side of the island. But it was a forbidden love. It was some story. And she threw herself off the rocks into the sea. Her heart that was broken. And I was like, where is she from? She doesn't sound Greek at all. So yeah, she was a little bit over dramatic and it was kind of funny and amusing, not boring. I didn't switch off after a while. Papa, can you hear me? Yeah, I get it. And then when we got to the actual island that used to be a leper colony, there was a man who was bringing us around, telling us about how it operated and how people lived day to day. And halfway through the tour, he dropped in. And some people got better from the leprosy and moved back to the mainland. And I was thinking, okay, dropping a little nugget of information there that maybe pertains perhaps to himself, maybe? Is that what's happening? And my voice got really high and only dogs could hear me questioning. And they turned around going, what's going on? And we got to the end of the tour and we were totally expecting him to sort of rip off his mask and go, and I was one of those lepers. And he'd have like an ear gone and a bit of a nose gone. But it was a fascinating tour. He didn't do that. It was kind of disappointing. But at the same sense, in the same vein, I'm kind of glad, he didn't have to have a life of leprosy. And, that's one of those kind of antiquated diseases. I think leprosy is pretty much wiped out. I'm just going to assume that it is and say that it is. If it isn't, I'm sorry to all the lepers listening. But, hey, should be glad you still have ears. So then Gerry says, Mother says she enjoyed your interview with Gordon. So did I. Okay, so this is my father and my mum saying they enjoyed me interviewing a King Charles Cavalier who was a xenophobe when it came to Irish people. That was more entertaining than me actually talking about whether or not there's an afterlife. So it's weird. You don't know what your not target audience, not demographic, you don't know what they're going to be interested in. So then he goes on, did I tell you the story about my dog Bimbo, whom I had when I was a teenager? So he had told me this story before, and I'd forgotten. I was going to mention it on the podcast before when we were talking about dogs and getting dogs and lining up interviews with dogs. I have another interview with a dog now coming up next week, so stay tuned for that. It's obviously my parents are going to enjoy it. But yeah, Dad had a dog called Bimbo when he was a kid, and there was another dog called Bimbo who was related to this dog, Bimbo. It's like sort of, Paddy Senior and Paddy Junior. So he had two dogs in the town, two Bimbos in the town. Like Bimbo, like I've heard bingo, or B-I-N-G-O, and bingo was his name, oh. There was a dog, he was a dumb dog, and Bimbo was his name, oh. B-I-M-B-O, 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 and Bimbo has his name, oh. So the email goes on, no dinner today, mother is baking, sausage rolls and scones, good replacements. So guys, I'm very excited about this. I've pulled some strings, and I've managed to get a phone number and an agreement for a small interview with, I can't even believe I'm saying this, Hollywood legend and superstar Arnold Schwarzenegger. So let's see if I can get him. Ringing. This is so exciting. Always been a huge fan of Arnie. Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
This is me, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hi. Wow. Thank you so much for being on my podcast. I mean, I'm truly humbled.
Thank you.
And how are you doing, Arnie? You're doing very well, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're there. You're in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You're growing out your beard.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I've just gotten engaged.
Bullshit!
No, it's true. I mean,
I'm going to take a shower.
Well, I'd prefer if you just stayed on the line, just for a couple of minutes. We can do this little interview, and I can cut it into my show. Arnie?
Go on.
Okay, great. So, Arnie, loving the videos from lockdown. You're a very funny man. You're really showing your funny side that people really haven't seen since Twins.
Thank you.
But your little ponies, your little mini horses or whatever they were, in that video that went viral, where you're urging everyone to wash their hands and stay distant from your massive mansion in the Hollywood Hills. What are the names of your ponies?
Lou Ferrigno. Boris.
Oh, okay. And is that from because you're a fan of Boris Johnson, or just general? Okay. You've been keeping safe.
My sunglasses were damaged.
Oh, right. There was an accident or something?
Yeah.
I think it's better you spend the weekend in jail.
Yeah. And what have you been cooking? Have you been cooking anything, anything from your childhood that you missed eating?
Sauerkraut.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yummy.
And what's your favorite food?
Sauerkraut.
Obviously, Ernie, I'm a big fan of your movies.
Thank you.
Classic movie, The Terminator.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely movie. And I'm guessing it's one of your favorites.
Go on.
And you've made a few now. How many have you made?
29.
Yeah, I don't think it's that many. It may feel like it's been that many.
Go on.
Could you do your famous line from the movie for us? I know you probably get asked to do that a lot, but, could you do it?
Just do it.
Yeah, could you do it?
Yeah.
Lovely.
I'm back.
Yeah, I don't think that was it.
What's in the 2-week package?
No, I think that's from that movie where you're ordering a holiday. Could you do one of your other classic lines?
I'm a cop, you idiot.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's from Dumb Cop. Or is it Dumb Cop 2? Well, I mean, it's the catchphrase from both of those
Yeah.
classic movies. So, Ernie, listen, thanks so much for taking my call.
Thank you.
Hopefully I'll get to talk to you again soon enough. Stay safe. Is there anything you'd like to say just to kind of sum up your career, or even just how you're feeling right now?
I'm hungry.
Okay, you're hungry, yeah?
Yes!
So what are you going to have for dinner?
Pasta.
Right, okay. I thought it would be the sauerkraut again.
Yummy.
Yeah, I know you like it. Ernie, thank you so much for coming on my podcast, Edwin Sammon of Knowledge. Please, if you could, follow me or even share. You probably have a few followers.
Yeah.
Being a big-time movie star, I would appreciate it. And, congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Like, what would you sort of account your success to? What would be the reason for it if you were to give anyone any advice?
I tell you that when I said that I recognized I'm not a self-made man and that I have gotten a lot of help, when you recognize that, and this is why it's important to tell this to our young people. And this is why this was the theme of my speech at the commencement speech at the university in Houston when I got my 8th honorary doctorate degree. I talked about self-made, a man doesn't exist, and that we all get a lot of help, because that makes people then understand, okay, we get help, and we are the product of help, and therefore we have the responsibility to help others in return. And this is why, right away from bodybuilding on, when I worked out, I didn't just lift for myself. I wanted to lift the entire sport. I always was interested to work towards something that is bigger than me, something that is going to be around much longer than me. I'm going to be gone one day, but bodybuilding should not be gone.
Right.
So this is why it was a pleasure for me and an honor for me to go into this sport, to win the world championships 13 times over, Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia, Mr. World, Mr. International, and all of this kind of stuff. But to think always about one thing, and this is, how can I elevate the whole sport and make it a real popular sport and make it hip for the young people and for everybody to do? So I traveled around the world as I was competing, and I was talking and talking, speech after speech and seminar after seminar, book after book, documentaries. We did everything we could to communicate to the mass. Because remember that you can have the best idea and the best product, but if the world doesn't know about it, you have nothing.
Okay.
And this is why, to me, no matter what I did in life, it was important, because I learned it in school already way back in Austria when I was 15, and they were a Lehrling, a kaufmännischer Lehrling. I learned then already that it is important to sell and to market and to communicate. And so I was going around the world, and bodybuilding became more and more popular, and it became huger and huger. And like I said, now everyone is doing it. Every hotel in the world, doesn't matter where you go, if you go to China or to Africa or to the Middle East or wherever you go, every hotel now has a fitness room and has weights and machines and everything like this. Every military base has huge weight equipment and huge facilities. Every university, every high school, every sports team, every athlete, everyone is now working out. So this was a huge, huge success. And the same is also with Special Olympics. When I saw the opportunity to go in there and to help Special Olympians, try to make them be equal to everyone else. So that was always a desire of mine, and that's why I started after-school programs, because I saw an opportunity there where kids needed help. So my desire to give back has become much more important, because I think that
Okay, Ernie, thanks very much.
You learn quickly that life is not just about how successful you are and how big of a career do you have, what big of a star you are, and how much money do you make. That's all great. Okay. I love it.
Well, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap it up. Hopefully I can get back in touch with Mr. Schwarzenegger. I got very formal there calling him Ernie at the end, but I just felt like I knew him. Even though he's thousands and thousands of miles away, we can still stay connected through technology during these difficult times. Guys, thanks so much for listening. That's the end of this episode. There will be another episode out on Tuesday, every Tuesday and Friday. If you want to become a patron of this podcast, you can check out Edwin Salmon of Knowledge on Patreon. You can get exclusive stuff. There's an exclusive episode for patrons only coming out in the next couple of days. And also in the next week or so, the first of the movie episodes that I'm going to be doing. So if you're a patron, you'll get that weeks ahead of everyone else. Maybe even months ahead, depending on how long it takes me to make them. I'd like to thank specifically Kevin and Leah in Canada, in Winnipeg. Thank you so much, guys, and thanks for the messages and support. I really appreciate it. Please give this a review if you like. It won't cost you anything except time, and time is all we have. So that could help me out a lot. Recommend it to people you like, recommend it to people you don't like, recommend it to strangers. Recommend it to dogs who have been trained to download podcasts. All of these are helpful. I will see you guys soon. Bye. 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 Bye.